Hello, we are the Cook family, and we just want to explain a little bit on why we've decided to start vlogging. We decided to start vlogging mainly because we watch a lot of Disney vlogs, and we found out that there's not a lot of content for people with disabilities or children with disabilities. And we feel that Disneyland is an absolutely fantastic place for people with disabilities. So we're looking at some of the things that you may not see on every other vlog. The intention really is to show a little bit of what life is like living with disabilities and how you can adapt your everyday life and your holidays to have just as much fun as anybody else. So when we're making these vlogs, we're looking at a few aspects. Firstly, we want to create memories for ourselves. We want to have the family all together, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look back on these whenever we want. We can watch YouTube, watch our own videos. Bit narcissistic, I know. We also want to create some sort of practical guide. So when we're looking at Disneyland and all the different aspects of it, there are things that people don't see. When you're looking at a ride, you're thinking, oh, where is the access? Where do I get on? How do I transfer onto a ride? How do we get off again? They're the kinds of bits of information that we find really useful, yet they don't really exist. It's not out there for us. As much as we'd love to see it, it's just not there, is it?
No, it's difficult to find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we decided to do it ourselves. So this is Logan. How old are you, Logan? 16 soon. In a few days, Logan will be 16. This is Kaylin. How old are you?
10, almost 11 years old.
10, almost 11. That's Marie. And I'm Dave. We're not telling you our ages because we aren't sharing. So as a family, we like to travel, we like to go around together, we like to do everything together, but obviously things are a little bit different for us. Logan is non-verbal. He has something called cerebellar hypoplasia, which means he's always in a wheelchair. He can't talk, but he can communicate with Evoca and using sign language, Makaton sign. And we like to go to Disney together, don't we?
Yeah, we've been, this time will be our third time.
It will be. How old was you when we first went?
No idea.
How old was you when we first went, Logan? No, he's a little bit older. Logan was 9.
So I was 5.
Yeah. Yeah, he was 4. 4 getting on to 5, so that's about the right time.
Yeah.
We did go again last year just to see Disney during Halloween, and we thought it was spectacular.
Yes.
We didn't plan on going again so soon, but we decided that's it, we're just going to go again. We enjoyed it so much, it's such a fantastic place for us. So that's a little bit of an introduction of who we are. I wanted so everybody could see who we are and the reasons why we're doing it, and to introduce me, Logan, Kaylin, and Mum, Marie. Enjoy. Okay, so we've got rid of the kids and gone to go play. It gives us a little bit of peace and quiet. Essentially what we want to talk about now is the kind of challenges you might face, how we like to be organised, how we look at making sure that we're in the best position we possibly can be. Because of that, we like to be organised. When we organise ourselves, we organise it in a specific way. So Marie will tell you about how we organise.
Okay, we have a black folder file, which we keep everything in so that we don't lose anything. And we file everything in order, all the paperwork and everything we might need. So at the beginning, we have our passports. Never lose those. Then we have our invoice for the hotel for when we arrive. So when we check in, we've got proof that we've paid just in case anything goes wrong on their computer system. Then we next have our train travel from where we're from to London. We then have our train travel from London to Disney, all printed out as well as electronic just in case anything goes wrong with the electronics. To pick up our son's accessibility pass,
Which I'll explain a little bit about that soon.
we have paperwork to prove his disability and his right to an accessibility pass, which we take his DLA letter and his blue badge, but there is other forms you can take.
And what is the DLA letter?
It's his disability living allowance letter to say he's got access to disability living allowance because he's disabled. In the next section, we then have our coming home tickets, which are Disney to London, and then our home tickets from London to our home. And then at the back, we also have an accessibility guide to show what type of rides our son can and can't access.
Yeah, so going on from that, the accessibility guide on the Disneyland website is great. I'll put in a few shots of what we've done, how we book the passes. I'll explain that as we go through. But essentially, if you want to book an accessibility pass, it would depend on your disability. The kind of disability you have determines the kind of pass that you will get. I'll explain a little bit more about that as we go. Essentially, the pass allows us to use the facilities that are appropriate for us in an appropriate manner for us. So on the accessibility guide, which we always take a printed copy with us anyway, you can find this on the Disneyland website. That gives you information that you may not even think could be relevant. For example, for us, when we look at a ride, whether or not Logan can transfer onto the ride and off the ride, that's only one consideration. Another consideration for us is, if the ride breaks down, how can Logan get off that ride? Now, we can transfer him from his wheelchair into the cab of the ride, but if the ride breaks down, there may be ladders involved, there may be narrow walkways. He can't walk unaided, so we need to make sure that we've taken account of that. Now, in the accessibility guide, it gives you all of that information. Each and every ride has a breakdown on what's ideal. Is the ladders, is the steps, is the steep incline, is the narrow walkways. So reading the accessibility guide is great help. We use that when we plan what kind of rides we can go on. So we know, for example, that Logan can't go on the
Crush's coaster
because when you're being evacuated, you have to use ladders and gantries. That's not feasible for us. But we do know, for example, he can go perfectly fine on Casey Jr. because Casey Jr. has a lot of access and they can move the train to an accessible point if we need to. That really gives us a lot of flexibility on what we can and can't do. It gives us a bit of pre-warning and allows us to plan our trip, which again is essential for us. When you're looking at the accessibility and your badges, you are given a badge that is appropriate to your level.
Yeah.
So as you'll see when I put the information in there, you'll see that you can choose what options you are. So can you transfer unaided? Can you transfer aided? Can you not transfer at all? Those are the kind of things that will determine your pass. When we get the pass, you take that to any of the accessibility points in any of the rides and even the character meets, and you can have a chat with the staff who are absolutely fantastic every time.
Yeah.
And they'll let you go queue or they'll give you your time to come back.
Yeah.
We'll show you a little bit more about that while we're there.
Yeah, where to queue as well.
Yeah,
and where to get your times, because we've not seen any of those online.
No, they're quite difficult to come across. So
Okay, here we have the Disney accessibility page. A great place for information, specific to whatever disability needs you may have. We tend to use this for downloading the most up-to-date guides and also using this for booking the pass, which I'll talk through in a second. So with the guides, if you scroll down the page, just under the maps, you'll start getting down to the sections where it says Accessibility Guides at Disneyland Paris. The accessibility guide there, that's the main piece of information that we think is brilliant. If you look here, this is the digital version. We downloaded and printed off a copy, so we've got a copy with us so we can check it out in the night time when planning ahead. But this has a guide for all the attractions, the restaurants, the hotels, the toilet facilities, and it is pretty in depth. They ask a lot of Q&As in there which could be relevant to all different kinds of disabilities. We have information there regarding how you get your access, how you can ask for help if you need to, where your accessibility queues are. So it's worth taking a look at this. It's a good document. We also have on this a map which you can download. This is the brief overview map. We use this as well. This gives you an overview of each of the rides in each of the zones and what kind of access there is and what kind of evacuation plans are required. So it tells you what you can and can't do. This is then related to the kind of badge you have, which takes me back to this section. On a priority card request, they ask for specific information. So firstly, you start with your country, for us is the UK, and that tells you the kind of documentation you need to prove your disability to access your card. So for us, it's the disability living allowance. We take that with us, as well as his blue badge. There are other forms of ID which you can use on there. You click on I have one of these documents and it will take you to the page where you're accessing your visit. So let's just choose a random date, 2nd of September. We go to next, and then it asks questions such as, do you have mobility problems or require the use of a wheelchair or the mobility aid? Yes, we do. Next. Will you be accompanied at all times in the attractions? Yes, Logan will. Next. Are you able to quickly get in and out of an attraction vehicle such as a train, boat, or either unaided or with the help of your companions? Yes, he can. In the event of evacuation from the attraction, are you able to descend a ladder, flight of steps, or walk along dark, narrow paths, corridors, either unaided or with the help of a companion? That for us is a no, so Logan can't do that in the event of evacuation. Then we put in our name, so for us that will be Logan, and then Cook, which we would choose, and then it would ask us to upload a photo. So you choose a photo, whichever you wanted to do. That photo will then be displayed on your badge. Put in your email addresses, click on next, and that takes you to the confirmation page. I won't take this any further because it will autocomplete. But as you can see, fairly in-depth questions, pretty good. You will then be allocated a colour on your card. The colour on the card will determine what kind of assistance you require when you get to the park. That is great for the cast members so they can tell you what you can and can't do. For example, some rides, because you can't evacuate without aid, may not let you on if you have a certain colour card.
So part of the whole ethos of this vlog is to give you a little bit more insight into how you look at these different aspects of planning a trip to Disney, and what can you do, what can you do, and how much extra you can do.
Yeah, not just to tell you, but to actually show you.
Yeah, so the intention is to show you what we see, how we approach Disney from a different perspective.
Logan's perspective.
From Logan's perspective. One of the things that we are keen on is, just because things are different doesn't mean to say we can't do them. It just means we do them differently. And we want a full access just to make sure that everybody is keen, everybody knows what they can and can't do, and they're as well informed as they possibly can be. And if you don't have any comments or questions, make sure you stick them below. Are we happy?
Yes.
We're happy. Good fun activity is to get the kids involved doing a plan. So as you can see here, both the boys are making a plan of what they want to do. With Logan being non-verbal, he uses pictures to help communicate as well as his voca. And part of that is working together to make the overall plan. Kaylin, can you explain the plan to us, please?
So what we're doing is we're going to have a square for each land in the whole entirety of Disneyland, and we're putting all the rides that we want to do, or all the rides that we haven't done in the lands that we are going to, and we're going to tick off each land that we like to do in our own coloured pen.
Right, okay. Logan, what colour pen are you going with?
Pick out any pen.
Use the sign, tell us what colour is your favourite colour to use.
Why don't we get his book?
A red. A red pen. Right, okay, very good. And show me what you're doing now, Logan. What are you trying to do now? What are you writing? And what is that? Is it something for the Disney board? You gone shy now? Kellen, what are you doing now? Explain
Me and Logan are making some pop-up things where whenever you close it down, they stick down, but as soon as you open it, they spring out.
That's
and
so we
make
can
it
fold it all
3D.
up, isn't it?
Yeah. Sadly, we don't
Very
have
good,
this
Logan.
to-
Excellent work.
No,
So it's a great way to keep the kids excited and keep their excitement contained, is to keep them busy doing this sort of activity. It's a great idea. A little bit of added information. I'm going to drop in 5 tips that could be quite useful when travelling. Or at least they are for us, but it's worth sharing. Tip number 1. Get all of this into this. 2 small bags, ready to go in a case. All of those clothes all fit into one bag. Yes, I've got a sweat on, but it worked. Tip number 2, get yourself a nest of bags. Pack one bag, place it inside the bigger bag, travel to where you're going, take everything out when you get there. When you inevitably come back with a large haul, you now have 2 bags. We have all the clothes we wanted to take in this bag. This fits in the nest of bags. We still have a little more room around the edges to get some more packing in. 1 case to worry about on the way there. On the way back, 2 cases for all the extra things we're going to bring back. Tip number 3, service the chair. Tip number 4, pharmacy check. Now this might be relevant to everybody or might be relevant to nobody, but what we decided years ago was that we'd start taking our own medication. First time we went to Disneyland, one of our sons became unwell. We had to track down some infant suppression, some ibuprofen. It's quite expensive. So we take with us a bottle of ibuprofen. We also take the Logans inhaler, some paracetamol, just in case somebody gets a headache or a hangover. We take some travel sickness tablets, because the little one does get travel sick, and so do I. And we also take factor 50 sun cream. Now, most people take sun cream, but it's still worth checking. Keep these all together, and if you can, try to keep them in the same boxes, just in case you get asked to be checked for anything. Sometimes medications, they can ask you at the gate, what's it for? If you see on the back of there, we have some information to do with who it's for. Okay, so practicality tips. We've decided to go with a case with wheels and a pull-out handle, but also can be used as a hold-all. That means it's easier to manoeuvre Logan whilst carrying a hold-all. We try to limit how much cases we take travel-wise, how much luggage we take, because the more we carry, the less we can put with Logan. So we need to make sure that we can transfer him, we can move him around, we can push him along whilst not losing our cases. So what we use is this kind of case here. It has wheels at the bottom to be pulled along, but handles can be folded in, and it can be used as a standard carry case as well. So if I'm pushing Logan and I'm transferring him, quite easy to do this. Now this could be quite heavy, so this is where the handles come in. Very easy, I can still keep Logan controlled. As we're at the train station as well, I always like to keep at least one hand on it, even with his wheelchair brakes on. As you can see, quite easy to move around. No problem manoeuvring Logan where I need to go. Makes it quite easy for me to take him where I need to be. So practicality wise, this is useful. Thank you for being my demonstrator, Logan. Well, I hope this video has been useful for you. I tried to put in as much tips as possible about preparing for Disneyland, how we do it, the kind of things we check, the kind of things we want to get sorted. Stay tuned, because we'll be doing day 1 travel day. That'll be coming up soon. Just got to learn how to edit first. Yes, I'm learning on the fly, but I'm doing my bestest. If you've got any tips, feel free to put them down below. If you've got any advice, again, put it down below. If you're interested to see how the channel develops, like, subscribe, all the other stuff that everybody says. Sounds a bit cliche, I know. But as I said, our intention there is to get as much information about how other people do it. It's not about the look at me that we see. It's more about what can we tell people that we've learned, what mistakes have we made that other people can avoid. So, thanks for watching.